Hey everyone, welcome to SaaS Me Anything. I'm your host, Meredith Albertson, Chief Marketing Officer at Zylo. Now, as companies look to get a hold of their massive investments in SaaS and software, one of the questions we hear 9 out of 10 times is, how should we do this? How do we build a program, a strategy? Who should be involved? This season, I'm sitting down with some of Zylo's in-house SaaS management experts to discuss the Enterprise SaaS Management Framework and get answers to those very questions for you. You're going to learn how to establish a foundation for SaaS management and the roadmap for building and operationalizing a program at your organization. In our last episode, Ben Pippenger introduced you to the Enterprise SaaS Management Framework, the first framework of its kind in the industry. Now, Ben is back with us today to talk about getting executive and organizational buy-in for SaaS management. Frankly, that's the number one thing you really need to think about when driving a successful program. Ben, why is executive and organizational buy-in really so critical?
Mayor, it's a great question. And as you said, I really do feel strongly this is the number one thing that you need to drive a successful program. And that's because, SaaS is everywhere. It's not just in one department. It's not just in one corner of the organization. Literally every single department is likely buying software that they're using to get their jobs done at companies. So it is extremely important that you have executive and organizational buy-in for this to be successful. It really elevates SaaS management into a company-wide priority and initiative, which means you can get things done like change management, governance policies, all the stuff that you're going to need to be successful. And by having that executive level support, you do get that top-down alignment across the business. So you will find better success with those initiatives to put a SaaS management program in place. And also, on top of everything else, it helps the stakeholders that are involved across the different departments, cross-functionally, to motivate them to know that this is an executive level priority and initiative to get this job done.
So Ben, that's a great overview and outline of kind of why it is so critical to get that buy-in. Let's talk a little bit about what happens if you don't.
Yeah, if you don't, and we see this all the time too, where SaaS management may be something that's being approached by the IT team. They know that there's a big problem. They're likely the largest purchasers and deployers of SaaS applications across the business. And so it's not necessarily a bad thing, but what we typically say is if you don't have that executive level alignment, make sure that you've got focus within the organizational group that is driving this initiative. Really what that means is that group then needs to be responsible for thinking about how do they deploy SaaS management within their own group. And then once you find success, make sure you're talking about those things in the business so you can drive that to a broader scope of work and make sure that the efforts that are underway for SaaS management aren't siloed within a single part of the group.
Well, that makes a lot of sense. So I like to think in meaningful steps that leaders can take. In your opinion, what do you think the number one thing IT leaders should do to go about getting that buy-in from both the executives at the company as well as really getting the organization to buy in?
We have a saying at Zylo, we say data is greater than opinion. I think that speaks truly here as well. You need to look at the potential of what's going on within your organization and make sure you're using that data to tell a good story across your company. You think about the different stakeholders that are involved with the SaaS management program, IT, software asset management, and procurement team. You really have to be able to paint the picture of what that value looks like across all those different individual groups. And again, that data, it's hard to refute the evidence that's out there and the research that's been done by Zylo and also by other analyst firms and things like that of how big this potential problem really is. So when I think about how you're pitching this to sort of executives, the business value of a SaaS management program and how it ties to their strategic objectives really comes down to a handful of things. The foundation is really around risk. And the first one's around the financial risk. There's a huge amount of money that's being spent on SaaS applications. Research out there shows that it's growing. I think Gartner's research says it's growing about 19% year over year. What we're seeing at Zylo within our own research is that organizations on average are spending about $49 million on SaaS annually. And then the other eye-opening stat here is that there's just a ton of waste as well, licensing waste, that people are buying licenses, deploying them out, or maybe not deploying them, and then they're just sitting there going unused. we see about 52% of licenses wasted. So if you equate that back to that same number, that's $21 million in waste every year. So it's just a huge amount of waste. The second area around the risk factor is with security, and really being able to put a program in place where you know what's going on, you know what applications are being used, who's buying them, maybe the stuff that's out there that they don't know about. So when you think about that security risk size, nearly half of apps have a poor or low security risk score. That's something we track within Zylo. So there's just unknown risk out there with these applications too, just because you don't know what's going on. By putting SaaS management in place, you should really strengthen that overall security posture, helping with that risk element. And the last one's around an efficiency, making sure employees know where to go to get the tools they need, understand what tools are available to them, streamlining the process, the governance involved with getting new applications into the business. Is really the third area that from an executive level perspective, they really should be thinking about. So again, it's that financial risk, the security risk, and then any sort of operational efficiency or operational risk that's involved with that.
Those numbers never cease to blow my mind. It just crazy.
I know, and that's the average company. You look at large enterprises, and they're spending a lot more than that. So it is pretty eye-opening. And the last point I'll make around sort of why this is important and why now is AI has been at the tip of everyone's tongue for the last couple of years now, but we're really starting it to see it rise up into the mainstream, where you have their legacy software providers with AI native capabilities. We see potential AI tools that you just don't know about, that who knows where they're putting your data to build their model. So the longer you wait, the more the risk is out there, the more you're spending. And so it's really important to get going on this now.
Yeah, Ben, I think that financial risk is so very clear, such a big opportunity with the data points you shared. And I think that the compliance and regulatory risk is really becoming something even more critical. We're hearing, and I know I'm going to get these exact numbers wrong, but like 252 regulations across 140 countries, I think it is now, where visibility into your SaaS and what data it has is critical. And the fines are mind-blowing of what that's going to cost companies if they get caught up in that. Well, Ben, I really appreciate you joining me today. It was extremely insightful, talking about really for the long-term success of a SaaS management program. Having that executive and organizational buy-in is super important. However, it shouldn't be a blocker for you to get started if you can start to prove out that value within a team and really start to share that story, share the data, and start to build momentum across an organization. Thanks everybody for joining us today. Make sure to check out our No BS SaaS Management Playbook if you're looking to take a deeper dive into this topic and really start to understand the how and the who and the step-by-step approach to get started. Be sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel to get notifications for all of the new Zylo content that we're bringing to you here. And join us next time where we're going to explore SaaS management, the roles and responsibilities.